parked at the side today, I think.
The side of the
Yeah, yep.
I just
See, it's clean now, right? Hey, isn't that weird? Yeah.
thanks for letting me go up and play.
For sure, yeah, congrats on your antelope.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
It's in the freezer. The head's in the freezer.
I still got mine in the cooler. By the way, I've eaten 3 or 4 meals out of that right now. It's so good.
So good.
Especially the way we got the meat out of there so fast. I mean, I'm really happy we did that.
He is getting that skin off.
Yeah, yep. I will say that butcher kind of screwed up your order, but they ran a pretty good operation there aside from the mistake they made. I mean, they were pretty quick and efficient. This time of year, though, I can imagine they get bombarded and mistakes are going to happen.
He said he's thinking about not doing well game next year. They're busy and
yeah.
it's also the same time of year so people send their stock to beef butchers. too.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yep.
How are the blisters?
I still got one that is a little raw. It's all scabbed over now, though. That was so bad that last day. I'm like, 2 miles in the wrong direction. I'm dragging the leg the whole time. Awful.
I kept telling him that I don't think this is right. You know, like,
Yeah.
No. And I thought, well, the day before I was wrong, so I just let him go.
Well, when we were ducking for ranchers driving by behind hills, then I knew we were in trouble.
We are so lucky.
Yep.
So lucky.
I know.
I didn't tell Gina that part. So.
I just told the man that I busted you out on that one.
And I thought, all right. Brian said, well, we're busted anyway, so he
Yeah.
says, fuck it.
Just he says forget it.
You have to be here to get a ticket, so I'm wrong.
Yep. Hey guys, Pinnacle's in the house. We ready? We got the new stuff up. No, you have to go to YouTube. Don't. I tried to email it. Just go right to YouTube.
Oh, you gotta look it up.
Yep. All right, we're going to get started in just a sec. There it is. Master Writer is, yep. Wait a minute, that's, I need the folders. That's not 12. It's the 438. Yeah, that's the one I'm looking at right there. So I need that new listen to the sales. All right, guys, we're going to get started. How's everybody?
Good.
Got a pretty big day today. So as we get started with new listings and new sales, while Jessica gets us running, first thing I want to do is thank everybody that came forward, and now I think we're closing 10, 12 transactions a month through Guardian because you guys were stepping forward and helping us road test the system, work out kinks, things of that nature. So thanks for your support there. Guardian's back there. Hey, how you doing, Megan? Also, for those who are on the lead team call today, Jamie was not. I forgot to get you the info on that, but I want to keep on reminding people.
Anna sent it to him.
What's that?
Anna sent it to him.
Okay. Oh, you did. You did. Okay. I should have known. Okay. So anyway, I want to keep reminding people that as we build the lead team, the more successful it becomes is because you guys are funneling more stuff back into the people that support the team, which is Amic and even Guardian now. The more that you guys help support that, the more money that goes back in the lead team system, and we buy more leads. Also, I want to thank you guys because back there with the blanket on, because she must be cold back in her office, but back there with Claudia, she's been really getting up and running with TC. So again, thank you for your support there as well. And then Tabitha, you have a listing announcement back there, right? If you want to take care of that quick.
So I'm not the only one doing listings anymore. My team is running it throughout our admin team. So when you get a message through that from your listing, just reply to that person instead of me at the front desk, just so you're replying to whoever is putting it in.
So what is it at, like listings at or something? I mean, what's the address you're coming from?
So the admin member will send a message in .group. So just
Gotcha.
reply to that message.
To that message, okay.
Instead of sending things to the front desk, and sometimes I'll get emails and I didn't do that listing, so.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Can we still blame you for stuff? That'd be cool.
Sure.
Don't want to lose that. All right, ready? All right, new listings and sales. By the way, I wanted to say, did you guys catch? I forwarded the article from the Star Tribune about the reduction in buyer demand. Did you guys catch that article I forwarded? How many people read it? One person in the whole crowd.
I saw it. I got it in my Sunday paper. I read it.
Good, okay.
Yeah.
So, what's happening right now, I have Anna on this project to verify through the MLS and the state association if needed. We're trying to figure out what the number and percentage is for price reductions that are going on right now in our market. We're guessing from the article it said 20 to 25%. I want to verify that ourselves. But if there's a 25% reduction in price, I started asking questions going, well, is there more inventory? Do we have a bigger supply of inventory? The answer is no, we don't. So what we have is less buyer demand. Some of that's going to be seasonal. Some of it's also the fact that buyers have been getting kicked in the teeth for the last 6 months that every time they put an offer in, it gets rejected, or they got to offer 10 grand more or 15 grand more to get the house. Or guess what? Your FHA financing is not attractive as the other guy, so no, we're not going to go with you. So I think there's an apathy among buyers right now. I was also going to call Todd today to see how new loan applications are looking. I don't know if you, Mike, if you get those messages from Wells too, or I'm curious to see how many new applicants this time of year versus maybe even last year, where those numbers are at. I'd like to kind of get a gauge to see how the market's doing. Wells too, or I'm curious. So if we're down in number of buyers out there, if we're seeing greater slashes in price across the board, how does that translate for a value proposition for you and your buyers? Does that maybe change the messaging? Can you maybe excite people that haven't been excited because now there's a better chance at a better deal, better pricing? So I would really get familiar with what's going on in the market because your messaging to your buyers could change. It actually could inspire people that have been apathetic or that are on the fence. We talked about this in the lead team call this morning, how many buyers are out there, they're just kind of waffly and not really excited. They're hot one minute, cold the next. Well, if they're more excited about the pricing and the prospects of getting better pricing. What's rates at right now, guys? What are we looking at?
Lower fours or higher threes.
Okay, lower fours, higher threes. That's still a good rate, right? Still a good rate. So if pricing has improved by $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for that house, how does that translate into actual savings in terms of down payment, closing cost, and monthly payment? Figure that out because that might be good messaging for your buyers. Okay, new listings for the week. Angie Christensen, who's on her phone again. I'm so getting a swear jar for you and your phone in these meetings. Okay, Waconia, where do we get it from?
It's my little niche that I'm doing with police officers.
Police officers,
It was
okay.
from Facebook, from back the Blue Line, the police officers ball in Minneapolis, just advertising on Facebook.
So every time you get a ticket, you get a listing out of it, from what I heard, right?
Ticket.
Okay, there we go.
Gets stopped. She gets stopped, she doesn't get tickets.
That's true. Brandon and Justin, are they in the room? Nope, they're not. Bruce, where'd we get Lofton from?
He's past client, some issues on, well, there's just some issues, needs to sell it. Have stayed in touch with him through his dad, who's another past client.
Okay,
He's a vet from the Gulf War.
gotcha.
And we just need to get rid of it.
So when you stay in touch, how are we doing that?
Phone calls, texting, emails.
Systematically?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah. Reaching out every other month on him. The dad I talked to about monthly.
perfect. Would you classify him as an A plus, an A, or a B in your database?
A.
I'd say so. So A. Contractor? So he owns the house? Oh, gotcha. Very good. So professional network. So far we've heard in our sphere of influence, guys, I want to draw attention to this. I think everybody should do this little experiment for themselves in the last 24 months. Your sphere of influence consists basically of 4 parts. Your past clients, your friends and family, your professional network, and your tribes. And what I mean by tribes, no, we're not running around, in tribes. What I mean by tribes is people that you're connected to by either belief or action. So if you really, really love golf and you hang around a bunch of people that love golf, that would be part of your tribe. If you really, really enjoy water skiing, maybe you water ski with 30 other people, that's part of your tribe. Okay? Hunter's looking at me like, what are you talking about?
You're pulling out some very random things.
I don't do either of those things, and you know it. But the reality is what you should do, what you should do is look in the last 24 months, or those licensed that haven't been 24 months, that's fine, but look at every deal you've done in the last 24 months, and if you've done 24 deals in 24 months, you go, well, this one was from a past client, that's a past client, that's a past client, this one's from a friend and family, and you start doing the check marks, and you figure out at the end of the day where you're strong and where you're weak. Because your sphere of influence is all of these, but you'll find you might be weighted. You might be heavily weighted on one and ignoring the other three, or heavily weighted on two and ignoring the other two. It shows you where you have room for improvement. Okay, moving forward on that. Alrighty. So we've had professional network and past clients. Very good. What else we got? We've got Brandon, who's not here. Brandon and Justin. Again. Brandon and Justin. Gary Thomas, not here. Lori Koss, not here. Alex, not here. I haven't seen Alex in a meeting for a while.
He sits at open house.
He does. Viet, anybody TCing or anybody on sold the neighbor's house. Oh, so he actually got, nice. That's a self-generated lead. I like that. A little bit of geofarming or circle prospecting going on there. Good job, Viet. Stephanie Arneson, do you know where she got this one, Raj? Dakota?
From me,
From you. Is this new construction? Yep.
that's my listing.
It's, yeah, you're,
My house,
let's see. So, how does she stay in contact?
too much.
Yeah. Amanda, is this another
That's mine.
another one of yours? Okay. So you end up building your own opportunity, from what I can see. There you go.
I created it. Yeah.
Chai Yang.
I ain't waiting around for Sister Sue.
There you are.
It's past client.
Past client, how you staying in contact?
Drinks.
Drinks. Hey, tell you what, that's an honest answer. I like it.
That would be tried.
Yeah, that would be a tribe. There we go. Now, part of your tribes too, like I said, connected by action or belief. So, you know, things you like to do in hobbies or beliefs, such as churches or whatever else you're into, very, very good for tribal sphere. All right. Matrix, save search, save searches, pending sales. No, pending sales, yep. 14. These are down. Keep in mind, pending sales at 14. We used to be getting 23, 24 a week, so these are down. We've got Tiffany Greener, not in. Jeff Gunther, not in. Taylor, not in. Pam, do we see Pam today? Nope. Via Lee, where'd Via get this one? No idea? Probably Spear though, right? Prudy.
Past client referral.
Past client referral. How you staying in contact?
Oh, talk to people, visit people.
Anybody that's staying in contact, are they systematically doing so? Like every month you, good, Brian is, perfect. So you systematically have a system to stay in contact with people and touch people a certain amount of times a month or year, right? Perfect. Brianna, not in. Yvette, not in. Chase, not in. Chase again, not in. Brianna again. So all these Northwesterners not in. Viet again. Nason. Bree, you're supposed to know these things. Raj, is this existing?
Yes, it is. Past client.
Past client. Slumming it down in the 140s, I said 130s, huh? I see. How'd you stay in contact? Don't say drinks, that answer's already taken.
No, my daughter gets her hair cut by her.
Oh, perfect. And you and Zimmerman here.
Yep. Oh, that's me too?
Yeah. Unless there's another Roger Anderson you don't know about. Past client. Perfect. All right, so today we've had a lot of past clients, we've had a lot of sphere of influence, and even one geofarming or circle prospecting effort, which is great. Okay, moving on. The big message of the week is this. What I want to talk to you guys about. If you've been coming to our training, we talk a lot about finding your why you're doing this. Does anybody find it's not always fun to get up in the morning and do this every single day? I mean, I know we all love doing this real estate thing every single minute of every single day, right? But is there times we wake up and go, God, this is hard today? Or we don't feel motivated? Finding your why, yes. Because finding your why, finding your reason to dig down and get it done, that's part of it. That's going to be part of what makes you successful and part of what keeps you on your systems. But beyond that, another reason I want to talk to you about your why your purpose. I want to ask you guys a question. Do you guys all feel like you can articulate your purpose and why you're doing this? And if you can't, here's where the honesty check comes in. If you can't articulate your purpose and why you're doing this, then why should somebody work with you? If you don't know why you're doing this, then why should somebody else believe in what you're doing if you don't know what you're doing yourself or believe in it? The reason I pose that question is when I ask everybody in one-on-ones why you're doing this, I've heard things such as, I like the flexibility. I like to be able to get up at 9 in the morning. Or I want the money. Is anybody really going to buy into you when your sole purpose is to make money and buy a Lamborghini? No. There's got to be a deeper sense of purpose. I'm going to show a video right now. It's 36 minutes long, but this is a video that I just absolutely love on the subject because I think it shows the proper way to really articulate value and to stand out in the eyes of the public and to have a sense of purpose. So, with that being said, I guess I'll let you get that running. And Long, I know you got to come up at the end. The only way I know you stay in here is by wait to the end and bring you up.
It's hard to have a discussion about leadership when we don't really have a common definition of what a leader is. You know, I read the same books as everybody else. You know, a lot of them tell us to sort of learn your style of leadership, how to adapt your style of leadership to fit the situation at hand. That's not leadership, that's management. To be a leader, you need one thing and one thing only: followers. That's it. It has nothing to do with rank or authority. You are a leader when others raise their hands and volunteer to go in the direction you set. The question is, why should anyone follow you? There are many ways to get people to do the things that we want or to follow us. In fact, it all boils down to two things. You can either manipulate people or you can inspire them. Those are your options. We're all familiar with manipulations in the business world. Things like dropping your price. If you drop your price low enough, people will buy from you, right? This is the concept behind the sale. Things are priced to move. Promotions, 2 for 1, free toy inside, buy one, get one free. And in the business-to-business space, we call it value added. The concept is the same. It's giving stuff away for free to reduce someone's risk so they'll choose you over the competition. It is inherently manipulative. Fear, wonderful manipulator. If any of you are parents, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Peer pressure is another one. I'm sure we've all sat in our offices and had someone tell us, you know, 70% of your competitors are using our service, why aren't you? Maybe 70% of my competitors are idiots. Or maybe 70% of them were offered a price so low they couldn't resist. I don't know. The point is, when we hear that the majority is doing something, we either fear that we're being left out or that they know something that we don't, and it influences our behavior. One of my favorite manipulations is what companies like to call innovation. Real innovation changes the course of industries, if not the way we live our very lives. The fax machine, the light bulb, iTunes, this is real innovation. Adding a camera to your cell phone is a wonderful feature, but it is not an innovation. It's the difference between steps and leaps. And what most organizations like to call innovation is in reality novelty, little additions to their products, nothing earth-shatteringly different. In the 1970s, do you know how many choices of Colgate toothpaste there were? Take a guess. 2. Do you know how many there are now? 30. And that's just Colgate, which means that their competition is offering about the same number of products, about the same price, about the same quality, about the same service. And yet I have no data to show that people are brushing their teeth now more than they were 30 or 40 years ago. What happened was this annoying little thing called globalization. And markets opened up, and competition increased, and the metrics went down. It doesn't matter which one, market share, revenue, profits, it doesn't matter. The metrics went down. And then to combat that, the company added a new product. This one has fluoride. And people went, ooh, shiny. And they tried it, and the metrics went up. But the problem with competition is they compete, and they match the product about the same, and the metrics went down again. Well, it worked the first time, so we'll do it again, and again, and again, and again, until you have 30 different line extensions. And what's one of their big complaints these days, like so many other companies? How do we differentiate ourselves? That's hilarious to me. How do we get out of a problem that we created for ourselves? And so they resort to any number of the other manipulations. Now, I cannot dispute that these and many other manipulations work. They absolutely do. That's why we use them. The problem is, none of them breed loyalty. The problem is, none of them engender trust. The problem is, over the course of time, it costs more money because somebody has to pay for all this stuff. And over the course of time, it increases stress both for the buyer and for the seller. We live in a world today in which most products and most services, B2B or B2C, are sold this way. In other words, people are being bombarded with manipulations from all sides for all reasons from any number of products. It is stressful to be a decision maker these days. It is stressful to decide which product or which service is right for me. But it's equally as stressful to be on the selling side, in which we have to operate in a world in which the vast majority of things are sold through bombarding people with manipulations and promotions and value added. And so it's hard for us, if we truly have something special, to stand out in the crowd and be noticed. It's called stress. This is largely the world we live in today. But there's an alternative. That alternative is called inspiration. And there are only a few leaders and a few organizations that tend to rely vastly more on inspiration than manipulation. And I'll talk about some of the big ones, like Apple Computers or Harley-Davidson or Southwest Airlines. But you see the same pattern in great leaders like Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King or John F. Kennedy. What I learned is that regardless of their size and regardless of their industry, every single one of these organizations, every single one of these leaders with the capacity to inspire, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to the rest of us. All I did was write it down. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. It's quite literally 3 concentric circles, a bullseye. In the middle is why, and the center ring is how, and the outside ring is what. I always like to joke that because I use a paper and a pen, I don't have AV problems. I have one. Let me define the terms. Every single organization on the planet knows what they do. These are the products we sell, the services we offer. Some know how they do it. Whether you call it your differentiating value proposition, your proprietary process, your USP, these are the things you think make you different or special or stand out from the crowd. But very, very few people and very, very few organizations can clearly articulate why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make money. That's a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose, what's your cause, what's your belief. Why does your company exist? I mean, do we really need another one? Why did you get out of bed this morning? And why should anyone care? As a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. We tell people what we do, we tell them how we're different or how we're special, and we expect some sort of behavior, a vote, a purchase, support. But not those leaders and not those organizations with the capacity to inspire. Every single one of them, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, thinks, acts, and communicates from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple frequently because they're easy to understand and we all get it. If Apple were like everyone else, a piece of communication would sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. This is normal. This is how most organizations communicate. You know, here's our new car. It's got tinted windows, great gas mileage, leather seats. Choose us. Here's our law firm. We've got all the best lawyers. We went to all the best schools. We win all of our cases. We work with some of the largest companies. Hire us. Here's how Apple actually communicates. They start with why. Here's what they say. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? It's totally different. It actually feels different. No trickery, no manipulation, no celebrity endorsements. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it starts to show us is that it's not what you do that matters, it's why you do it. And people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, and what you do simply serves as tangible proof of what you believe. This is the reason why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable with the idea that Apple sells computers and DVRs and phones and all these other products. MP3 players.
Hey, what's up, my friend Calic?
And all these other products. MP3 players. Apple is not unique. Every single one of their competitors, pick one, it doesn't matter. Every single one of their competitors is equally qualified to make every single product that Apple makes. Apple does not have a lock on any of the resources. Everybody has equal access to the same talent, the same consultants, the same agencies, the same resources, the same media. It's a zero-sum game. The difference is their competitors have defined themselves by what they do. We make computers. Apple has defined themselves by why they exist, to challenge the status quo, to give the individual the opportunity to stand up to Big Brother, to give the individual the ability to do their own thing. And everything they say and everything they do proves what they believe. A few years ago, Dell, a perfectly good company that makes perfectly good products, came out with MP3 players. They are every little bit qualified to make these products. The difference is, nobody bought one. We couldn't imagine buying an MP3 player from a computer company, but we do it every day, because it's not what you do that matters, it's why you do it. And what you do serves as a tangible proof of what you believe. For this little thing to work, you have to have three things. One, you have to have clarity of why. If you don't know why your company exists, how will anybody else? Two, you have to have discipline of how. You have to hold yourself and your people accountable to your own guiding principles and your own values. And thirdly, you have to have consistency of what? Everything you say and everything you do has to prove what you believe. At the end of the day, we live in the tangible world. At the end of the day, the only way people will know what you believe is if you say and do the things you actually believe. This is the concept behind authenticity. People are always telling us, people prefer to vote for the authentic candidate. They prefer to buy from the authentic brand. What does that mean? What that means is those people and those organizations say and do what they actually believe. That's all that authenticity means. You have to say and do what you actually believe. And the reason is simple. The reason the human race is so successful is not because we're the strongest and not because we're the smartest. It's because we're social animals. It's because we have the ability to form cultures and communities. What's a country? It's a group of people with a common set of values and beliefs. You know, what's a culture? It's a group of people with a common set of values and beliefs. What's a neighborhood? It's a group of people with a common set of values and beliefs. What's a company? It should be a group of people with a common set of values and beliefs. When we're surrounded by people who believe what we believe, something remarkable happens. Trust emerges. Make no mistake of it, trust is a feeling. Trust is a human condition. Simply doing everything you say you're going to do does not mean people will trust you. It just means you're reliable. We all have friends that screw up sometimes, and yet we still trust them. Trust is born out of a common set of values and beliefs, and it is absolutely essential for our survival. Because when we're surrounded by people we trust and who trust us, we're more willing to take risks, we're more willing to explore, we're more willing to experiment, which requires failure, all with the confidence that if we turn our backs, go away, or fall down, someone from within our communities will watch our backs, watch our stuff, and help us up when we fall down. Absent trust, we still have the will to survive, but absent trust, it's every man for himself. And it becomes selfish and destructive when we act more and more and more short-term. Great organizations are not the ones that outperform necessarily every quarter. Great organizations are the ones that in hard times, people come together. You want to know why Lehman Brothers failed? Lehman was exceptionally good at what they did. They were exceptionally good at how they did it. But at the slightest shimmy, the whole thing collapsed. Not in months, not in weeks, in days. Great organizations in hard times come together. It's like the quality of a crew. We cannot judge the quality of a crew when the seas are calm. We cannot judge the quality of a company when the economy is good. Just because they're making money is no indication of how strong the organization and how strong the culture is. However, when the seas are rough, how good is the crew? Do they run to each other's aids or do they jump off the ship? All with the same thing. Every man for himself. Gotta look after numero uno. Gotta pay the bills. Gotta feed the family. Gotta survive. Great organizations, the people sacrifice themselves for each other. In the military, they give medals to people who are willing to sacrifice themselves so that others may gain. In business, we give bonuses to people who are willing to sacrifice others so that we may gain. We have it backwards. This is not my opinion. This is grounded in the tenets of biology. Not psychology, but biology. If you look at a cross-section of the human brain evolved into three major sections that corresponds precisely with this little idea. The outside area is called our neocortex. It's our Homo sapien brain, responsible for all of our rational and analytical thought and language. The middle two sections make up our limbic brains, and our limbic brains are responsible for all of our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's also responsible for all human behavior, all decision-making, and it has no capacity for language. This is why you can't ask your customers, why do you do business with us? Why do you love us? They can't tell you, because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. This is where gut decisions come from. There is no part of your stomach that controls decision making. And it's not in your blood, and it's not in your bones, and you're not following your heart. We ascribe it to different parts of our body because the part of our brain that controls language doesn't control decision making. And it's not an accident that we use the verb to feel to describe gut decisions. I know all the data says we should do that, but it doesn't feel right. That would be biologically accurate. The part of the brain that controls feeling controls decision making. This is also the reason why the question, why do you love your husband or why do you love your wife, is a difficult question. Why do you love your wife? I don't know. That's where most people start. You've been married for 15 years, you don't know why you love your wife, you know? She's smart, she's fun, I can trust her, I've known her forever, you know? Sounds like a golden retriever, right? And then we start saying things that don't even make sense, right? She completes me. Don't know what that means, right? I have a left arm and a left leg, she's got a right arm and a right leg, together we make one. I don't even know what it means. What we're attempting to do is verbalize the feelings we have towards a person or an organization with the part of the brain that doesn't control language. And so we make things up, we rationalize, or we actually say things that don't make sense. How many of you love your Macintosh computer or know someone who loves their Macintosh computer? Okay, they always put their hands up so quickly, they're always so excited. You can always tell people who love their Macs, because when you try to explain to them rationally, based on facts and figures, they actually bought substandard computers, they start foaming at the mouth, right? But rationally speaking, that's exactly what happened. Rationally speaking, based on facts and figures, Macs are at least 25% more expensive than their PC counterparts, sometimes double their price. There's less software, there's fewer peripherals, and they're absolutely slower. I mean, there's nothing faster about them. I have one, and I get that spinning beach ball of death all the time, right? The difference is, Apple's not selling us one of these, they're selling us one of these. Because Apple is so clear about what they believe, so disciplined how they do things, and so consistent in what they do, it gets the point that their computers serve as a symbol of a set of values and beliefs. Those people who love their Macs didn't buy it just for the product based on the rational sensibilities and the rational differentiators. They bought it to demonstrate something about who they are. This is why Mac lovers love opening their computers in airports, right? People with PCs don't open their computers in airports. They don't care. It's just a commodity. It's just a computer. And sometimes you see a PC with an Apple sticker. That's somebody telling you, my office gave me the computer. This is not really who I am. It's a symbol for who they are. Because you see, our survival depends on our ability to find people who believe what we believe. And because the part of the brain that controls behavior doesn't control language, we rely on stories and symbols and all of these things to help communicate who we are. This is why authenticity matters. Because if you say and do the things you actually believe, you will attract people who believe what you believe. If you lie, people will be drawn to the lie, but we will start to figure out that you don't actually believe those things, and so we don't trust you. This is why we don't generally trust politicians. Because when we sit down and evaluate all the things they tell us, yes, rationally speaking, all of their opinions happen to align completely perfectly with all the beliefs I have, but we know that they're not telling us things that they actually believe. And so we don't trust them. Trust is a very, very important thing. Our survival depends on it. We're highly, highly attuned to it. I had the great honor of visiting Quantico Marine Base in Quantico, Virginia. And on the day I was there, this is where the Marines select their officers who will then lead their Marines into battle. And the day I was there, the colonel in charge of OCS was about to give me a presentation about their selection process and how they run things. And there happened to have been an incident while I was there. And they were considering throwing one of their Marines out of the Marine Corps. So of course, curious Simon, I said, well, what happened? You know, it must have been serious if you're considering throwing him out of the Marine Corps. And they said, we caught a guy falling asleep on watch. I said, in Virginia? Like, that's it? You know, it's not like he was in combat or something. You caught a guy falling asleep on watch in the woods of Virginia, and you're going to throw him out for that. A little strict, don't you think? And the guy said, no, you don't understand. He said when we questioned him about it, he denied it. When we questioned him about it again, he denied it again. And only when we gave him irrefutable proof that he had fallen asleep on watch did he say, and I quote, I want to take responsibility for my actions. And the problem we have in the Marine Corps is that you take responsibility for your actions at the moment you perform those actions, not at the point you get caught. You see, integrity matters, he said. If I'm going to put him in charge of a group of Marines in combat, and they're not 100% sure that every word that comes out of his mouth is the truth, If there's any doubt that he's saying things to cover his own skin, it puts people in danger and people will die. Unless you're completely, completely honest, we cannot have you in our Marine Corps and we cannot let you lead. Being honest is a very, very simple thing. All it means is you tell the truth. I would rather you disappoint with the truth than appease with a lie. And it goes back to our survival instinct. If we sense for a moment that someone is lying to us, the question is, will we be able to go into a foxhole with them? Again, there's a benefit to group living in an anthropological sense. It means that we can fall asleep and trust that others in our group will watch for danger. And if we don't trust that we can fall asleep and allow others to watch for danger, we fear they're going to take something from us or not alert us to danger or not wake us or not defend us, then we'll never fall asleep and we'll never trust anybody and eventually we'll all die. This is how powerful this stuff is. We all have the natural capacity to find people who believe what we believe. Like I said, we're hardwired for this. If I ask you to go out in the street and find the people who believe what you believe, you know exactly what to do. You're going to strike up a conversation. This is why we say sales is about relationships. No kidding, right? And you have an exchange with them, and sometimes there's good chemistry, and sometimes there's not, whatever that means, right? Sometimes it's quick, and sometimes it's slow. The point is, it's not scalable. It's not scalable. But if I tell you to go outside and find all the people wearing red hats, it's easy. There's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. When you know what symbols to look for, it's easy to find the people who believe what you believe. Just like all you Mac lovers, and don't lie to me, when you're walking through the airport and you see somebody else with their laptop open, you like them a little more, don't you? It's because Apple is so clear about what they believe, so disciplined about how they do things, and so consistent in what they do. We're using these symbols, we're using these brands, we're using these things to say something about who we are in an attempt to attract people who believe what we believe. Leadership is the ability to stand on the street corner and simply talk about your own red hat. Got a red hat here, got a red hat, got a red hat. And all the other red hatters, whether they can see their own red hat or not, whether they know their own why or not, are eerily drawn to you because you're the one capable of putting their values and beliefs into words, and they can use you to say something about who they are. People who are most loyal to your company are the ones who see their jobs as a reflection of who they are and what they believe. They see your company as a reflection of who they are and what they believe. There are people walking around with Harley-Davidson tattoos on their body. This is a corporate logo. Some of them don't even own the product. There's nobody walking around with Procter & Gamble on their arm. It's because Harley is so clear about what they believe, so disciplined about how they do it, and so consistent in what they do, it gets the point that everything they say and everything they do serves as proof of what they believe. The reason this stuff is important can be summed up in something called the law of diffusion of innovation. And if you don't know the law, you definitely know the terminology. It's the old bell curve, the standard deviation. And what it tells us is that the first 2.5% of our population are our innovators. The next 13.5% of our population are our early adopters. Then you have your early majority, your late majority, and the last 16% are your laggards. The only reason these people buy touch-tone phones is because you can't buy rotary phones anymore. that's my parent. What the law of diffusion tells us is that this population, the innovator and the early adopter population, are very comfortable trusting their guts. They're very comfortable making intuitive decisions. They're willing to pay a premium and go out of their way to be a part of something that reflects their own beliefs. These are the people who stood in line for 6 hours to buy iPhones when they first came out, even though you could go into the store and just buy one off the shelf a week later. These are the people who spent $40,000 or $50,000 to buy flat-screen TVs when they first came out, even though the technology was substandard. It had nothing to do with the technology. It had to do with them. The majority of the population is more cynical and more practical. They absolutely care about things like price and quality and service and features. The problem is they're not willing to try something until somebody else has tried it first. This is the reason we have to drop our price and offer promotions, all kind of value added, because these people these are the ones we have to reduce their risk. These people happily pay a premium and work with substandard products if it reflects their beliefs. And these people won't try something until somebody else has tried it first. In other words, to achieve mass market success or long-term stability, it's not about appealing to these people, it's about appealing to these people. And if you can get 15 to 18% market penetration, and I don't mean of the market, I mean of the people who believe what you believe, then there's a social phenomenon, the tipping point. 15 to 18% of those who believe what you believe, and it just tips and it goes mass. We all get about 10%. Law of averages says if you ignore everything I'm saying, you'll get about 10%. 10% of our customers love us, 10% of our employees love us. But it's not enough to make it tip, you see. I'll give you two examples, a famous failure and a famous success. First, the famous failure. It's a business example. In the US, we have a product called TiVo. It's a digital video recorder. When TiVo was introduced into the marketplace about 12 or 13 years ago, it was and continues to be the single best product on the market, hands down, undisputed. It is the best technology out there and continues to be this to this day, right? And if you ask most organizations, you ask most companies, why did your product fail? Why did your company fail? They usually give you some combination of the same few reasons. Undercapitalized, didn't have enough money. Poorly executed, wrong people, bad market conditions. Okay, that's the recipe for success. So TiVo has the best product on the market, execution flawless. Venture capital up the wazoo. Money, no problem. They hired the best engineers money could buy, people, not a problem. And the market conditions are incredible. In the US, we use TiVo as a verb. The unaided awareness of the brand is in the 90th percentile. It's common. Market conditions, fantastic. TiVo is a commercial and financial failure. They've never made money. And when their company went public, it launched at about $40 or $50 and then very quickly plummeted, and except for a couple of little blips, has never ever traded above 10 bucks. And the reason is because they took this brilliant product, brilliantly executed, brilliantly funded, and they told the mass market, we have a product that pauses live TV, skips commercials, memorizes your viewing habits on your behalf, and records without you even asking. And the cynical, practical majority said, I don't believe you, I don't need it, I don't like it, I don't want it, you're scaring me. Because they didn't buy one. There were a few early adopters, and to this day they love their TiVos and have upgraded it every year, but it wasn't enough to make it tip. Now imagine if TiVo had launched their product to this population, explaining why it exists. If you're the kind of person who likes to take total control over every aspect of your life, boy, do we have a product for you. It pauses live TV, skips commercials, memorizes your viewing habits, and records on your behalf without you even asking. In this instance, what the product does serves as tangible proof of why it exists. It is not the reason we make the choice in the first place. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Now I'll give you my favorite example of the law of diffusion. Martin Luther King, in 1963, August of 1963, gave his I Have a Dream speech, and 250,000 people showed up on the Mall in Washington to hear Dr. King speak. No invitations were sent out, and there was no website to check the date. How many emails did you get to show up here today? Right, it was 7, 8, there's 500 people here, right? Nothing. Right? Dr. King was not the only man in America who knew what had to change to bring about civil rights in that country. He wasn't the only great orator of the day. He wasn't the only man who suffered in a pre-civil rights America. In fact, he suffered less than most because he was off at university. He wasn't even the perfect man. He had his complexities, and we just don't talk about that stuff. The difference is he had a gift. He didn't go around telling people what we need to do, how we're going to do it. He went around and told people, I believe, I believe, I believe. And people who believed what he believed took his cause and made it their own. And they told people what they believed. And those people took that cause and made it their own, and they told people what they believed. And some built structures to get the word out more efficiently. And lo and behold, on the right day, on the right time, 250,000 people showed up on the Mall to hear him speak. How many of them showed up for him? 0. They showed up for themselves. It's what they believed. It's the America that they wanted to live in. It's the America that they wanted to raise their children in, that inspired them to get on a bus, travel for 8 hours, stand in Washington in the sun in the middle of summer, simply to hear him speak. Simply showing up was one of the things that they did in their life to prove what they believe. Even Dr. King, it wasn't about black versus white. Dr. King had a belief that there are 2 types of laws in this world. There are the laws made by man, and there are the laws made by a higher authority. And not until the laws of man are consistent with the laws of a higher authority would we live in a just world. The civil rights movement was the perfect way for him to bring his cause to life. Oh, and by the way, he gave the I Have a Dream speech, not the I Have a Plan speech. Everybody's got their comprehensive 12-point plan these days. We're not inspired by your plan. We're inspired by what you believe and where you're going. This is the remarkable thing about human beings. We can imagine the future. We can only see the things that we have words for. And this is what great leaders do. They can put these things into words. Let's imagine that this room is empty and we're standing over here in the corner. I give you a very simple instruction. I want you to go to that corner in a straight line. Off you go, no problem. And without telling you, I quickly put a chair in front of you. And what do? You go around the chair. This is the remarkable thing about human beings. When we're crystal clear on the place we're going, on the destination, on the vision, our route is flexible. Even though you just ignored what I told you to do, I told you to go in the straight line. This is the great thing about people. When we are clear in the destination, we are flexible in the route. Reset. Let's stand in the corner again. I give you a simple instruction. I want you to go in a straight line to some point in this room. And you say, well, where do you want me to go? I say, I don't know. You're smart. Pick a place. And so you pick an arbitrary point in the room and you start walking there. And without telling you, I quickly put a chair in front of you. And what do? You come to a grinding halt, or you make a sudden sharp turn. And I say to you, what are you doing? You say, well, how can I go in a straight line if you put a chair in front of me? In other words, when we're not clear on the destination, or the destination is arbitrary, we become obsessed with the route. And now you think about how we do business these days. You know, what's your goal for the end of the year? To increase top-line revenues by $500 million. Why not 400 million? Why not 600 million? There are arbitrary points in the room. And then we become obsessed with the strategies that we've set to get there, as opposed to the great leaders and the great organizations that explain why their companies exist, and then leave it to their people to figure out the route how to get there. And that's how you get innovation. Leadership's only responsibility is to point north, to point the direction, to say where we're going, and allow everybody else to figure out how to get there. This is what we feel fulfilled about our ability to contribute to the organization. This is exactly why Apple is the most innovative company in the world. It's not because Steve Jobs came up with all the ideas. Do you know how many ideas he actually came up with? None. Even Steve Wozniak was the one who built the computer in the first place. Long, long ago, before Apple even existed, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were sitting in a garage in Cupertino, California, and they made something called the Little Blue Box, which allowed people to avoid paying long-distance rates on their phone bills. They were challenging the monopoly phone company, Ma Bell. And then they started Apple, and they challenged Big Blue, the existing monopoly computer platform, IBM. And then they challenged Microsoft, and then they challenged the phone industry, and then they challenged the music industry, and now they're challenging the publishing industry, and if you're in television and movies, you're next. It's just a repeating pattern. Jobs told people that he believed in making products that allow people to have more control, that we shouldn't be at the dictate of large organizations that tell us how things should work. And he allowed it to his people to figure out ways how to get there. That's what drives innovation, a clear sense of destination, not an obsession with the route. There are leaders and there are those who lead. Leaders hold a position of power or influence or rank, but those who lead inspire us. And whether they're individuals or organizations, we follow those who lead not because we have to, but because we want to. And we follow those who lead not for them, but for ourselves. This is for those who want to inspire those around them. This is for those who want to find someone to inspire them. Thank you very much.
Okay. Who liked the video? Who's got some takeaways that they are taking away from the video? Who might change the way they think a little bit based on the video?
I've heard him speak before, though. I've watched a couple. He's an excellent speaker.
Very good speaker. But before I started the video, I posed a question of, do you understand your why? Because if you don't, your consumer won't. And you know, I do one-on-ones with you guys, with a lot of you guys, quarterly, periodically, sometimes once a year, sometimes once a month. And everybody seems to struggle with the why. Why am I doing this? What's my purpose? What am I trying to accomplish? What makes me different than the next person? This is probably the best video or the best speaker I've heard on the issue to really articulate that. Now, we talk about, you know, your business. Because in business, and we've always told you guys this, we believe this. You guys are your own CEO. So often we ask agents, who do you work for? And they say, Donna Realty, Keller, Remax, Bridge. I say you don't work for your broker, you work with your broker. You really are the CEO of your own company. You control your own destiny as an independent contractor. You are your own entity. You have to partner with a broker based on the laws of the state. But you don't work for one. You work for you. You all have autonomy to go out there and do things differently. You're not dictated to in this industry. So us, as a broker, we sat down years ago and figured out who we're going to be. What do we believe? And how many here in the room right now have a set of core beliefs, core values? How many people have those written down on their website and their marketing promotional information? How many people are able to show the consumer who they are through their core values? You don't need many of them. I mean, ours. Collaboration is one of them. Authenticity is another one. Innovation. These are things that we believe in, and everything we do is based on that. And why do I say collaboration? One of the best things that my takeaways from the video was when he talked about us as a species as a human race, we are dependent upon collaboration, trust, and building together, because a bunch of people operating on their own doesn't work. So as an organization, as a brokerage, as a community of agents, leaning on each other and learning from each other and growing from each other has always been part of what we believe will work in the industry. We saw a gap in the marketplace. We saw 100% commission companies out there that were extremely affordable to work for and to work with. And we saw larger brokerages that took a lot of money. One offered a lot of tools, one did not. One had higher producers, one did not. We saw a gap in the marketplace that we could create a brokerage that would have all the best tools, all the best resources, have the best fees and the best affordability to work with, and have a level of top producer that other ones don't. And that's essentially the direction we went from day one. But we've known our destination, we've known our path since day one. And the question I've had for you is, do you? And if you haven't, this is some time as we move into business planning for 2018, that I would strongly suggest you do some soul searching and figure out exactly what it is that creates your why, what your belief system is. And if it's because I want more money, your customers won't buy into that. If it's because you want flexibility to get up at 9 in the morning and not have to be anywhere, your customers won't buy into that. One of the common factors between top producers is they all seem to have a direct, strong sense of purpose and strong sense of what they're supposed to be doing and why they're doing it. So it doesn't mean that they've got longer days. They've got the same 24 hours you do in a day. They're not rocket scientists. Their intelligence, does not rival Einstein. They've got a clear sense of purpose, and they know where they're going. All right, what was your takeaways? I'd love to hear from you guys. Who wants to share something? Not all at once. I'm literally going to start randomly calling people out. Okay, Bruce.
What I was thinking about is thinking about more of the why on some of the advertising we use, and twisting or turning it so they understand why we're doing it.
Yes.
Versus the same old, same old.
I mean, we can all talk about what our commission rate is, how many houses we sell per year, how fast they sell, what percentage of original asking price we get. It's the same jargon from everybody. There's a poll out on Facebook, I don't know if you saw it recently, but the poll was, in choosing an agent, what do you care most about? Number of houses sold, years in the business, there's 3 or 4 questions, and then I think the last one was like personal attention or how much, or the relationship you have with the agent, something, or how much you trust your agent, something like that. I think you reposted that, right? Because I saw that 2 or 3 different times I saw it through a Facebook, and it was
The number 3 was,
over and over again.
you put your,
Yep.
It was that you would put the people's needs before your own.
Yes, yep. So again, trust, right? They want to know you, like you, and trust you. That is the number one cited reason why people choose the agent they choose. It isn't the number of years in the business, it isn't the number of houses you sold, but how do you articulate to them why they should trust you? That's exactly what this video is all about. So does anybody want to have this video saved in our back office? Would you guys want to go back and rewatch it?
Yes. Sure.
Good. Okay, so I think we're going to put it there. Any other takeaways?
I felt like the innovators were the people who were willing to try you first.
Yep.
Or, that's why, when you kind of start doing something, you kind of have, your whole heart into it, and then that's when you really start to see, your incline in business, because people from your past are vouching for you. And
Yep.
that's why your sphere is, so crucial.
Such a powerful tool, right? Because your early adopters, if you're the innovator, who's your early adopters? And beyond that, well, other people that are sit back, especially your new licensees, right? You get your license, and all your friends and family are like, well, how are they going to do? They're going to wait for the early adopters to come in to see what kind of response they get. And if they're happy, then they might start talking to you, right? Makes it a little bit harder as a new agent. Other takeaways? Literally, I'm going to start calling on people.
I was just really, it was a good reminder of communication and how important it is. Based on his example of, instead of going outside in, going inside out in terms of communicating, just an excellent example of a just slight change in thinking that I don't think happens very often in any walk of life. We all start explaining our accomplishments before we start explaining our beliefs.
Yep.
Instead of vice versa. It was a really good reminder that what really matters is not always what you accomplished, but who you are inside.
Yep, and it's that's exactly what people connect to. If you want to connect with people, what business are we in? Are we in the business of selling houses? No, we're in a people business. We're the commodity. If we want to connect with people, we got to be able to explain who we are, and it's got to be tangible. Anyone else?
Just kind of along that same line of where he said there are leaders and then there are those who lead inspire people to follow them. And I think we've all been in jobs, where we had leaders or managers or people that you didn't really want to follow them or you didn't respect them because they didn't really care about you or what you wanted. Well, that was the message.
Yep.
And so I just thought it was really powerful to realize that we inspire people by showing them how we care about them.
So to that point, okay, if you're a CEO of your own company, are you a leader or a follower at that point? You need to be a leader. Okay, people are following you. The minute they sign a buyer's rep contract with you or a listing contract with you or even agree to a showing with you, they, in terms, are following you at that moment. So, are you inspirational? Are you inspiring them to want to work with you? There's a reason why a lot of agents don't hold people to buyer's reps contracts, because they don't have to. Because they know that if I'm inspiring you to want to work with me, I don't have to worry about you going off somewhere else. That's why a lot of people don't really care about when and how they get that buyer's rep signed, or if they put 2.7 in there or anything else. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but I'm saying it's why a lot of people do it. They have confidence they can inspire. Any other takeaways? So when Long and I sat down years ago and said, how are we going to form this brokerage? I'm going to tell you the secret of success we've had, why we've grown so fast, isn't because we're the biggest or the smartest or the most well-organized. It's because we've been able to articulate to agents what our mission is, what we're trying to accomplish in the marketplace. We saw a gap in the market that agents didn't have the support, they didn't have the technology, they didn't have the what we like to call empowerment, where somebody is sitting there working with them to help empower and help grow their business. They didn't truly have that in other arenas they were in. That's why, I mean, as much as Long likes to think it's his good looks, it's more than that. He's very persuasive, I'll give him that. But, the reality is we're able to articulate a message of what we believe. And that's why people have followed. So, that being said, my challenge to you as we go into business planning, as we go into business strategy, coming into the next year, think long and hard about who you are and how you want to articulate that to your prospective marketplace, your red hats as in the video, to identify who you connect with and where you're going to find those connections. Do we hear a lot about tribes, by the way, right? People that we connect with, people that we have common ground with, that we believe and we have the same, and I'll use the Harley thing because that's something that both Hunter and I do quite a bit, and Jeff back there, right? So when you see somebody walking around wearing a Harley t-shirt, you automatically go, hey, I know that guy, that guy's going to be like me. And you're going to strike up a conversation. So in real estate, what is your Harley emblem? What are you able to do to connect with a large group of people? That's what you got to figure out.
Where's your tattoo, Mike?
You don't want to know. You know where Nick's is. It's pretty similar. No. So anyway, that's what I got for you guys. Long.
We do the class.
I know we're almost 11 o'clock. I'll make it quick.
1 second.
Jamie, you need to leave a room, by the way. Your 11 o'clock is here, not because I don't like you. So real quick, before I give you a quick update, what Mike's been sharing with us is we always talk to you guys about the elevator speech. That's what we meant. It's like, why should people work with you? That's we call it elevator speech, just because that's a term. But anyways, here's some good updates, you guys, from Mike and I being involved in communities and stuff. The First Time Home Buyers Saving Account Act was passed. Okay, where a single person can put in up to $14,000 a year, or a married couple up to $28,000 a year, up to $50,000 for single, or $100,000 for a married couple. The only piece that's missing is the tax deduction right now. But apparently, how law works, I'm learning a lot about politics and these things to it. You just want to get it passed, and you go back and amend it later. So at least you get that in. So that's in right now. They're working on an amendment in the tax bill coming up right now for the tax deduction piece, meaning that $14,000 you put in or $28,000 is tax deductible, just like your 529 or your HSA.
For your down payment, you mean?
Yes, this is the one you got to remember, right? You can save for your kids or your grandkids, the parents or grandparents. Tax deductible is what they're pushing for. Right now, they got it passed as you can
So
save
it's a
up
down
to.
payment savings account that you can pass on to your family.
So then lenders going to start to know now that that's like sourcing, so they can use that like a gift fund. Okay. They're working on, working on a single Minnesota MLS. So only one versus the Rochester, the Duluth,
Yeah.
whatever. Okay. Some stats to home sales, Mike touched earlier, actually down in this year versus 2016, but they're predicting 2018 will be an increase of 7 to 8%. So that's good. Millennials waiting longer to buy homes, up to 7 years right now, because the big barrier is, of course, the student loans.
By the way, with those millennials, do you guys realize that they're renting from like 8 to 10 years before they're buying? That's pretty different than what we've seen before.
A lot of you guys don't like this one. I do as well. Pre-licensing internet CE. We're working on taking away the seat time requirement. Meaning that if you pass the quiz or you pass the exam, if it's a 3-hour class, you can do it in 1 hour, more power to you. Okay, so that's what we're working on right now. By the way, you guys, a lot of these have come from, the Government Affairs Committee, which helped change some of this rule. So sometimes you guys see an email or text from me, a call about RPAC. Mike and I are a big supporter of RPAC Realty Group, so sometimes we'll call you guys to $20, $25. It's kind of nice to donate. That's what allows them this money for a lobbyist. The only other thing left, I remind you guys, is fall is here, so that's recruiting season. A lot of people, every year around this time, we seem to add a lot of agents. And you guys know about the contest. There's like 3 months left, so all you need is one name in the drawing to win the contest, which again is?
Yeah, we're going for the, I just want to see Mike win this, because I want to see him driving around in the BMW convertible next year. Hair blown in the wind, so.
We got a lot of upcoming training that I'm sure that you're going to see here that we're working on bringing on personal branding, business planning, all this stuff you see coming out. But one thing I really want to get you guys to push, if you haven't seen Save a Date yet, is every year we have a really good time at our year-end holiday party. This year's Friday, December 8th. So put on your calendar, save it. We have more information coming out. And plan on being around 6 and get babysitting if you have kids, because we usually go to about 11 or 12.
It gets a little wild.
That's all I have.
And then, so right before we let out, just so you know, a couple things upcoming. So, Mike, you're bringing in the Buffini event, right? So, real quick, that's October 17th?
Yep, next Tuesday.
Yep.
3 o'clock to 5:30, and it's gonna be right here. So yeah, I mean, Buffini talks, we did about a half an hour about tricks and all that, and then I have a guest speaker, Molly Fletcher. She's the first female sports agent, and then she has like unconventional techniques that she applies to her business. And we'll be serving lunch too, so if you guys.
What time's that again?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. And then we got Rick Jiha coming in coming up too towards the end of the month. He was Keller's top trainer for many, many years. Really good information from him. And we also got Tim Davis's crew coming in on personal branding as well. That we're bringing in sometime, I think that's November 15th through 21st, we're going to schedule that. So we've got at least 3 high-level guest speakers coming in before the end of the year.
We have Home Partners America coming in as well.
Yep, next week, right?
Week after next.
Week after next. So Home Partners, so look for that announcement. So we're going to do a Home Partners training as well. So we've got all kinds of good activities for you guys. We are moving now into business planning and strategy. So over the next 11 weeks or so, we'll be doing a lot of workshops and a lot of things to help you guys get organized for next year. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming.
That Tim Davis is good. He's the one I sent you.
Yeah.
guys.